Hey everybody, long time no see, but it's good to be back. Welcome to the finale of Let's Play EarthBound. In this episode we're going to be taking on the embodiment of evil himself, Giygas. As you can see, we're walking through this little twisted passageway. It doesn't really matter which way you go, it still just leads to the one path, and that is to Giygas. I guess it's pretty good that there's no real music in that sort of area, because it just really adds emphasis to the game when you just hear like Ness's party, just the clanking of the metal onto the ground. But anyway, as we can see, a reflection of Ness is shown within this being thing, which is actually Giygas, if you didn't know that. And Perky comes down just to tell us that we're all screwed, and we finally found him after his little dickish moves to destroy us and hinder our quest and have his mother kill Buzz, which is really why I'm here in the first place, because he's an absolute douchebag. So, Nintendo did half the job in making Giygas retreat in Mother 1. How will Ness go in Mother 2 or EarthBound in his little quest to absolutely finally destroy Giygas and his plans to destroy the world? Yeah, if you hear this music as well, it is actually probably my favourite soundtrack in the entire game. It's just actually one of my pretty much favourite entire 16-bit soundtracks. It's just absolutely amazing. Just wait for it in a bit. It'll start off with this little 8-bit little track thing, and then we'll go right on to this rock music. But as for this little phase itself, we're going to be taking on Perky. Focus your attention solely on Perky. Don't worry about fighting Giygas yet. Anything you do shoot at Giygas, okay, it won't even count towards his damage, it'll just reflect back at you, and I think it does double damage, or half damage, or something like that. I don't remember, it's just a really bad idea to go for Giygas now. Just deal with Perky, because he's a little asshole, and he's not as evil as Giygas, even though I'd like to think he is. Hang on, just let me shut up for a second. Oh yeah, this is some real freaking kick-ass music. That's probably my best bit of that little song. But as for Giygas himself, he just killed Paula. He will use PSI LPing, as you've seen previously, which isn't too much to worry about. Like, you'll use both Alpha and Beta, and both would do about what you'd expect from Ness. So basically, if you didn't know, just whatever Ness usually did for its PSI LPing, it will probably be the same that Giygas will throw back at you. But unfortunately, I wasn't really taking too much care of Paula's health, and as a result, Paula died. And that's pretty sad, because you're going to want to keep Paula alive in this fight for as long as you can. Or you really need Paula alive through the entire fight to keep it, or to actually win the fight against Giygas. We'll get to that in a little bit. We don't actually have to worry about that at all. Also, it would be a good idea to use any sort of multi-bottle rockets or big bottle rockets on Perky, even though that got really hampered earlier, because I think that bottle rocket attack we used only did about 300 damage, as opposed to the normal couple thousand damage that it does. It really chunks away at Perky's health. And Perky's opening maneuver is to really just destroy your offensive capabilities. That's why we're really not doing that much damage against him anyway, but I'm not going to go bothering with using PSI offense up on everyone, because it's just not really worth the time. Really, for the majority of this fight, you just really want to keep Ness and Paula alive. Ness basically for the healing, and Paula to actually use a command in the game, which I talked about earlier, which is only really useful in this fight. But anyway, we've defeated Perky, which sends us on to our second phase, where he turns off the Devil's Machine and reveals this weird swelling mass of something, which is Giygas' true form. Apparently his own mind was destroyed by his incredible power, and he's apparently a massive idiot for that. And Perky's just taunting us, you know, mate, you just lost your little fight against us, you can go piss off. So now that Perky's out of the way, we can take care of Giygas ourselves. Giygas will actually do more than just PSI LPing at this stage. He won't actually reveal what attack he'll be using, which is kind of a pain in the ass, just because he can do a whole bunch of stuff like PSI Thunder, which fortunately reflects more often than not back at him, so you know that really just adds up damage onto him. When you do enough damage, he'll go into his third phase, which is pretty much the same as his first phase or second phase. It's just this phase you just rip into him with whatever the hell you can. I advise just using this simple, use the most powerful attack method, in which, you know, use the heavy bazooka or any bottle rocket with Jeff. Just use a regular attack on Ness. Also, it can use PSI Flash Omega, I think, which absolutely just, if you don't know, just kills everybody. Unless you have a Night Pendant or a C Pendant. Speaking of equipping items like that, you're going to want to keep the C Pendant on Paula, because Giygas can also use PSI Freeze Attack, which can really quickly take away Paula's HP, and she'll be very quickly dead if you're not careful enough. And put the Night Pendant on Ness so he doesn't get insta-killed. Really, at this stage of the fight, it doesn't really matter if Jeff or Pooh die. It's really just another target for Giygas, nothing else. So Jeff is unfortunately dead, and I will not be reviving him in this fight at all. And another good reason that is a good reason there why you'd want to actually equip the C Pendant onto Paula. The Rain Pendant, while it does protect against freeze attacks, it doesn't protect against flash, and you run the risk of her getting insta-killed. And it just really takes a lot more time. It just wastes a whole bunch of Ness's PP, which could be used for healing Paula and actually reviving Paula. But now that we've done enough damage, Pokey comes back and carries on about how we're about to be screwed over, even though we're actually winning this fight quite easily. I normally have a lot more trouble with Giygas than I am right now, even though Giygas really isn't that hard a boss. Like, I'm trying to think. I have more trouble with Ness's Nightmare, really, than Giygas, but that's just my opinion. Some people will have a lot more trouble with this boss just because of the absolute randomness and unpredictability of the attack. Don't know why Pooh came up with that whole thing when he reflected the PSI Lightning attack back at him. Also, if you can, if you do have enough PP on Pooh at this stage, it might be a good idea to use PSI Freeze, even though he's in his third phase, in which he does nothing. I'll come back to that in a second, because Paula is using the prayer command. This is actually the only time in the game where the prayer command is actually useful at all. You have to do this a total of 9 times to defeat Giygas. So the first people to come out, why am I saying I'm a lot? Nonetheless, Dr. Andonuts and Apple Kid are coming out of the phase distorter, so they've gone back to the real world. Well, even though sort of the Lost Underworld is sort of the real world, it's just underground. They come back to Satin Valley, and everyone just comes and prays for the safety of Ness and Paula, and actually this prayer thing will be very, very good for us in our little fighting thing. So the safety of Ness and his friends, so some higher being, I don't know what it is, comes and screws up Giygas' defenses. This is the only way that you can actually do any sort of damage whatsoever to Giygas. But as I was saying before, Pooh, if you can, try to use PSI Freeze with him, if at all possible, just simply because you can take away an attack of his if it works, like on the off chance that you freeze him for the turn. That PSI Flash thing, luckily that didn't work, because Pooh would be dead, but even though that doesn't really matter at this stage. It's only really Ness and Paula that really need to be alive, just simply because of the absolute arsiness of PSI Flash and just the absolute uselessness of Jeff and Pooh. So now the Runaway 5 come out and hear the prayers of Paula, and hopefully this can help us beat Giygas, even though it's only the second prayer of 9. But the power of the Runaway 5 can hopefully contribute something to the demise of Giygas and the safety of Ness. And I actually don't know what the fuck Giygas is supposed to be, like, with the whole swirling mass thing. Like, he looks a bit like a skull sort of thing, screaming skull, even though he's just sort of divided himself. Stop saying Ness's name, Giygas. That is rather obnoxious. He'll also say some really bizarre shit before he attacks, if you haven't noticed that already. Pooh's crying, even though I don't really give a shit. And the third prayer is coming. I wonder who this is. So Paula's father heard the prayers of Paula, and that does still minuscule damage to Giygas, but you know, the prayers that are going right now, it's still doing something. We are not friends, Giygas. Just please leave. Stop telling us it hurts. But actually an interesting thing, another thing we could talk about, that the final boss in each Mother game has some sort of appearance in their respective next games. So like Giygas was also the final boss of Mother 1 for those who don't know, but that's spoiling it too much, and in 10 makes him retreat and he'll go into this and he's like, oh, I'll be back, and comes back in this sort of second thing, even though I'm actually talking over a cutscene and I shouldn't be, but oh well. Tony and his friends are worried about Jeff, who is unfortunately already no longer with us, but he will be with us after this fight, and he'll pray for the safety of Jeff and so forth, everyone else. But yes, Giygas from 1 threatens to come back in 2, and Pokey has a presence in Mother 3, but I won't go too much into that because that's sort of spoiling future games, and people might not have played that at all. Yes, Giygas is... I'm sure Giygas is starting to come weak up because he's just yelling weird shit. And Paula's gonna pray again for the 4th time. So, Lucid Dream, in which Pooh dies, compels everybody to, the people of Dalam, to pray for the safety of Pooh and do a massive chunk to Giygas' health. So I'm pretty sure Giygas is getting weaker now. This is pretty good. You know, he's continuing to pummel away at us with PSI Freeze, and should probably heal. Probably would have been a good idea to heal Ness at this stage because he's starting to run out of health. That's a good thing why he has a shit ton of HP. Praise for the safety of Ness even, because I guess we're just starting to run out of people, but Frank's a pretty cool guy even though he was sort of under Giygas' influence with the whole skateboarding gang and that arsiness. Please stop telling us it hurts. That is pretty much the point, to try to destroy you, Giygas, because you're a massive asshole. Ness's mum wakes up, and so does Tracy, and they pray for the safety of Giygas, and that is some serious damage there. But now we're going into the final phases of Giygas. It's pretty obvious with the change in music and the increased static effect that Giygas has. Probably be a bit late, but I guess epilepsy warning as well. Paula's going to pray, and she's running out of people. It's kind of a shame, because I think this is actually the last prayer that you actually have to use, because Giygas is almost dead, but unfortunately we're running out of people. I'm sure someone out there would be able to help us destroy Giygas. This is getting a bit dire. Ness is almost dying. If Ness goes down, shit's gonna get a bit ugly because I lose my healing power. Go on, this time, please, someone, help us. Bagusi. I have a bad feeling about this, folks. If this is who I think it is praying for the safety of Giygas, I swear to God. Oh no. Nonetheless, this is helping us pray for the safety of Giygas. I don't know why the Boogaloo 3 are praying, but it's working. Jesus Christ, that is some powerful damage. Oh yeah, like I thought it was. Bunch of idiots who I call my friends. Praying for the safety of Giygas, I probably shouldn't be calling them idiots because they just killed Giygas, and that was the absolute last hit on Giygas that there is. And this is the end of EarthBound. Actually, everything that we have fought for at this stage is come to a conclusion. It's kind of sad, really, because I've been working on this for some time. But Perky is talking about foreshadowing for Mother 3 and his next plan, in which he will go and do some very sinister things to certain animals up in the next era in another game, which isn't even released in English, but well, you can get English copies of Mother 3 anyway, thanks to fan translations. But enough of that. Giygas just turns into static. So Giygas was just the static on our TV screen the entire time. He just happened to be an absolute prick about it. Because, you know, I don't know, I don't like static on the screen either, but our TV was trying to destroy the world by the sound of it. I don't know. That's pretty much the LP, except for a few other things. There's going to be this final cutscene, and I will probably make an episode a little bit later down the track showing off the end credits for those who are actually interested in that, but I won't be commentating over that at all. So I want to thank everybody for your patience with my lack of uploading the last few weeks, and actually allowing me to, well, enjoying this. Thank you for actually watching this LP, for those who do watch this LP. Thanks to my friends for praying for the destruction of Giygas. You know, your help was not in vain, and you guys pretty much single-handedly beat the game for me. But now, the souls of the Ness and Co. will be taken out of the body of the robots, and hopefully, prayerfully, they will be returned to their actual bodies, because I remember Dr. Endonut saying that chances are that we won't be able to get back to our human bodies, but the war against Giygas is over. We're just going to leave those little robots there. I don't know what the hell happens to Ness's hat. Do we actually finally see Ness without his hat? No. They return to their bodies, who are just lying on the ground in the middle of Satin Valley. And they're coming back into their bodies, and everyone's just standing around them in a circle. I didn't actually see the bodies there when Dr. Endonut and Applecube were praying for the safety of the party, but alas, it doesn't really matter. I guess they're probably staying in the hospital or something. Even the exit mouse is there to greet us. It's pretty cool. So, Pooh and Jeff are up. Paula's soul is being transferred back into her original body, and she'll come back from wherever, or the cave of the past. Finally, the hero himself, Ness. So, as far as future projects go, because this is pretty much going to be it for the LP, I'm just going to be working on Star Tropics. I'll probably will be uploading very sparsely, but I'll still be trying to get stuff up for you guys then. And I don't really have any immediate plans for anything after that. Maybe ActRaiser 2 or some shit like that. But as for now, I don't know. But Pooh is going to go return to his land of Dalam, and he will use the most powerful of PSI techniques, PSI Farewell, and just really just PSI Teleport, and just goodbye. Jeff also returns, and will leave 3 gifts behind. I guess that was the power of PSI Farewell, and Jeff says his final goodbyes because, well, basically this quest is over, so they can go return home. And he wants to go return with Dr. Endonut and work on his scientific creations, and inventions, and all that good stuff. And if Ness and gets hitched someday, fix the broken appliances, that is actually quite amusing. And yes, Dr. Andernuts is your father. As you know, we've reunited Jeff with his long-lost father, Dr. Einstein, Andernuts. And finally, Paula would want Ness to take her home, so we'll leave that for the end credits sort of thing. And thank you all for watching. Where do I get paid, everybody?